Welcome back to Human Spirit with Rachel Hunter. Today we get to interview 8-time Olympic gold medalist Dame Lisa Carrington. And she is just incredible. I mean, you really get to see incredible presence, power, passion, but also this really kind, loving, of course, person. And you'll see this as we thread all the way through this podcast. Lisa, I already asked whether you wanted me to call you Dame.
No. Human to human here.
Yes, exactly. When I started really going in and looking, is your sense of stability in yourself. And I know that fluctuates for everybody because what I see is very different, but it can only drive me straight to that question of being an athlete, up to that pivotal moment. When you knew what you wanted to do. And I know you get asked this probably endlessly. It's interesting because you just see that inner stability within you. And you see this in athletes.
Yeah. I agree. It's like, where do you start? And for me, stability is so important. I think I feel grounded, connected to myself, to what's around me when I'm just myself, who I am, and I think I put a lot of emphasis on my life about being stable, not being, having somewhat of a routine, not flowing too much emotionally, and always just, starting each day trying to be patient and calm and yeah. Were you aware of this when you were like young? Like, is this something that you needed to move into the further you went into being an athlete? When I look back at things that were, I guess they weren't quite normal, or, there were times where you get super excited and then you kind of lose your grounding a bit. I'm like, I've got to settle back down. But I also think that was probably pushed a lot by my parents about being stable and being not, I guess it sounds like you can be overly joyous and you can be also really overly sad or something like that. But to come back to middle was always really important. And I think, I guess I feel like that was something that was just being calm and in the home was really important.
Did you, growing up, obviously you were surrounded by the elements basically.
Yeah.
Was that a huge, obviously growing up in New Zealand and being Kiwis, we're so connected to nature. Obviously it became a huge connection for you as well. Growing up near the water?
Yeah, so from the age of 8, I grew up next to the beach. So the beach was my playground across the road. I think knowing it and trusting the ocean, or just knowing that you can't control it, respecting it in that kind of way. And growing up, my parents were both teachers, and they had a really Mum was really pushing conservation, and so that would always come through at school. It was always about looking after your environment, whether you got our kiwis out the back in the bush or, planting sand dunes so that we can, keep our, our shores. So I think for me, there was that real respect for looking after our environment, and also feeling, absolutely, I felt super connected to it. And love swimming, always at the beach, in the water, all the time. Yeah.
So I also read that you wanted to be, you played netball.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of all started.
Yeah. I mean, I was on the netball court at 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if Mum played netball, and I just think both my parents being quite active and sporty.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I asked her this. I said, why did you get me playing sport so young? Or she's like, well, you have to learn to be a good winner and a good loser. And so, and also just being at dad took us to tennis
like
lessons and,
it's a Kiwi thing, isn't it? It's like this passage that we go through as Kiwis. Like sport is just, regardless, part of our life, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And, I feel like most 5-year-olds that pick up a netball look at a silver fern, and think, oh my gosh, I want to be just like them.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. I got to meet the girls the other day, the silver ferns, and they were talking, they went through the team and they were talking about, what it means to them to be putting on their dress to go play. And they were like, when I was 5 years old, I always wanted to be a silver fern. It was so cool. I was like, me too. I never got there, but it was so nice to know that as a fellow New Zealander, we all started somewhere in a really similar place.
Yeah. What was it that sent you from obviously going through with, the understanding of the sport, basically philosophy with that, and then moving into what you're doing now?
Into kayaking. Yeah. So I feel like there was always a plan that my dad probably had. He said when I was roughly 7 years old, we were watching, it must have been the Atlanta Olympics, and Daniel Loader was swimming. And he's like, it would be really cool what do you think about going to those? And I don't remember saying anything, but he planted this little seed in my head. I'm like, yeah, actually Olympians are really amazing people that I want to be like. And so I was like, as I grew up, I thought I can't get there in kayaking. And so I can't get there as a netballer. And then I did.
Wow. And
then this was just subconscious things running through my head. It's not like I ever said it out loud. And then I did surf lifesaving, which we started just to learn to be safe in the water. Yeah. And then there's a sport, like a competitive element to it. And so I was like, okay, I can't go and surf lifesaving. And then it just happened that in surf lifesaving, there's something similar to a kayak. So I did the surf ski. And my dad was like, okay, we'll do some kayaking on the side to help your surf lifesaving. And obviously he knew that I didn't know that kayaking was an Olympic sport. So I went along to a camp that Ian Ferguson was holding, who was amazing. He was our most decorated Olympian. And from there, it was like I was pretty good at it, for New Zealand standards, not on a world scale at that point, and went to a national champs, got selected in a junior team, and then I travelled to Europe to represent New Zealand when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
And then, I didn't know really what I had no plans other than maybe going to university after high school. And so I thought, I'll just keep going on this because I seem to be I'm making teams. It's like a door that opened. I was like, I'll just start down there and see where I get to.
The journey of life is so incredible because what you had that inner knowing, but it was like, how were you?
Yeah.
But it had figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did ballet from basically 5 to 15. I loved my point shoes. I loved my ballet shoes. Is your same that connection with you and that vehicle that is moving you, whether it's point shoes, whether it's kayak, whatever it is, there's a human side of it, but that relationship to that practical apparatus or whatever it is.
Yeah. As you talk about that, I think of when I was younger and my netball skirt or my dress. I was so proud to wear that. And you looked after it, after every weekend or whatever it was, cleaned it. But now, like with kayaking, absolutely, it's my boat, my tool, and I have really special boats, and the edges, the paint, the like everything, the way the shape is, even how it cuts into the water, everything, is like an extension of you. It is, absolutely, and I think that's what you put into it. It's the life force that you give it. And I think about my boat, and I haven't the boat that I used in Paris is still in Europe. It could be on a ship back to New Zealand, who knows? But yeah, and the boats that I've had, I think I definitely have a connection to them. I look after them. I wash them down or wipe them down after every training session, and I think if you look after it, it will look after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it actually really fascinating. The one book you've written is not your autobiography.
No, yeah, a kid's book.
It's a kid's book. And by the way, I think that almost every person should, because if you could just read the one lesson that you speak to in there, you could sit with that for a lifetime.
Yeah, there's two things I think in the book, similar to this human and spirit, I guess, in a way, around just practical ways to achieve goals. Like you set a plan, things like that. And then as humans, we get to a point where it gets a bit scary. And in the book, young Lisa has a tumble, and I think gets really scared, and so loses the stability of who she is, or and then I guess in there it's just the tools to be present. So for me, a huge thing is around presence, being in every moment and using the breath, the elements to calm and be in the moment. And when I was, it's writing it a wee while ago, reading it again, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like I can use this.
Yeah.
And that is particularly for me when I am under pressure or about to do something that's really, really scary, which I think I'm somewhat addicted to, finding things that I'm so afraid of, and it's all in my own mind. I'm not going to hurt myself. It's absolutely all on my own. When I line up at the Olympics and I'm doing that, I'm thinking, okay, deep breath, stay calm. Why are you here? I love what I'm doing. It's all about, for me, it's about perspective, feeling the water. And so, being able to kind of have it in that children's book is really special, because I think for me, when I'm calm, I'm clear, I'm present, I'm happy, I'm taking in life. And for me, I guess it's all about embracing every moment and living, because absolutely when I'm trying to strive for being better all the time, you find I get stuck on that journey of just, okay, it's got to be tomorrow's better, next is better.
Hunger,
keep going. And I'm like, well, okay, come, take a moment. But I think it's balance. If I can still strive, but I can still be in the moment and embrace all the fear and the worry of who I am. No matter how scary, no matter how fun, sad, happy, all the emotions. Yeah. I think that's just what life is.
Is there any part, like just before you're about to do the race, that you touch the water or connect with the water, that you have that moment of like appreciating the water that you're about to go on, almost like a prayer that you say to the water, not even a prayer, but an acknowledgement to this force that you're about to ride on. Do you have that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I see it as gratitude.
Yeah.
And so when I get on the water to warm up for my race, I'll get on 25 minutes before the gun goes. So then I do a warm up around the back of the course, and as I get on, I just touch the water with my hand, and especially when I'm not at home, I'm not around normal things or in a really scary situation that I'm about to go into, it's just being like, cool, thanks, we're here together. This is my home.
Yeah.
And so, and then lining up when the starter says 4 minutes till the start, or even less actually, like when it's like a minute to go, I just take my hand off my paddle and put my hand in the water. And I think that's a part of it. I think a part of paddling is finding, or being in sport or doing whatever I'm doing, is like finding the things that you love about that, whether it's the environment, it's my boat, it's my uniform, being like, wow, I'm so grateful I get to do this. And I'm just here because I love the water. I want to paddle as fast as I can on it. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. Just that acknowledgement, it's really powerful. Self-doubt.
Yeah.
When you kind of go into that, first of all, I want to find out whether, like, was there any point where you go, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I cannot do this anymore. Like the mind can't take it. Like you feel the will, like your body physically almost can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most recently coming into the Olympics, absolutely. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is really, really hard. And it's, I guess too, but I think when I started the journeys, particularly with our team, I was like, we want to do this. I want to challenge. And then you start off and it's going awesome and things are, there's challenges, but you're like, no, it's cool. And then it's like suddenly it just all crept up on me. Like 3 months out of the Olympics, I'm like, it really crushed me. I'm like, wow, I can't do this. And so mentally I guess you fight these two things going on. It's like the person that you can be when you're good, and then the person that is just going, get out, this is too hard. And so I had to work really hard to find a way back to the person that loved life, that wanted to lean in, that wanted to embrace the challenge. And I think it just was so scary to think, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? This is too hard. And it's just that I think when I put a big goal out there, or we did as a team, to win 3 gold medals, and we didn't tell anyone that. It was just within our small team of the 4 of us girls and our 2 coaches. And I think when it just got, I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can do it. But deep down I would say it, and it would almost relieve a little bit of pressure. I'm like, I can, and this is my choice. And so I had to, just work my way, like strategically, working with my psych, with my husband, with my coach, to come back. Yeah.
It sometimes feels like when there's self-doubt there, where you're so pinpoint, like one-pointed on that it almost becomes a bigger evil in some way. Like it balloons when really it's what some people could see as a simple thing. They could be like, but you're in the Olympics, like, but at the same time, when that self-doubt creeps in, it's paralyzing. Yeah.
What was interesting is that whilst I was having these challenges off the water, and I really just wasn't the person I wanted to be either. I wasn't as happy. I wasn't, joyous or excited, because I was just easily triggered to feel negative or those types of things. But I physically on the water was going really well.
Isn't that amazing?
And so I knew it was all the stuff that was off the water. It was probably the overthinking,
Yeah.
But when I could get on the water, I knew that was my happy place, and I could be free of some of my thinking. And so it was my thinking that really got me in trouble, is that I just needed to focus on one thing. When I put my boat on the water, okay, feel the water, thank you for letting me paddle on you today. What's my focus in the training? It's, good technique. It's so the simple things that I could do on the water, I was really capable and I loved it. But when I got off, it was, man, this is crushing. We still have to do this big job.
Do you remember, like, literally the pin that, like, burst the bubble that you just kind of let go? Did you, like, literally just go, I surrender to this whole BS and I'm done with it?
Yeah, I think there was a point where I realized how much pressure I was putting on my coach. And I was not that completely, I still had a lot of work to do to, keep turning up every day. But when I realized how much I was impacting more than just me, and I could see his perspective, I was like, oh, wow, okay, Lisa, like, it's all good. Like you can do this. And so I think that really helped. I was just really stuck in my own head. But also like I could see the light. Or just more that I just needed to hear someone else's perspective. And I was like, oh, that's actually really relieving to get out and see there's more than just me. That I am just one small speck on this earth, and this idea of pressure and expectation is all in my own head.
Yeah.
It's as much as I want it to be. So from there, I think it really helped, but I found leading all the way into the Olympics, I just had to keep working and waking up and thinking, following a really basic process where I, made a coffee for me and my husband. The key was that I wasn't stuck in my own head. The key that I was making,
you were feeding kind of that wolf that was basically just wanted to be.
Yeah, all about Lisa and protect Lisa.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, Lisa, it's fine. You're fine. You have nothing. I had to find a way to go, there's nothing that I need to protect. This is who I am. No matter the ugly, the great, that I needed to be able to, bring down those walls and not be afraid of the judgment or what people might see. And so it kind of just started in that really simple process as making something for him, for my husband.
Something that's not about self, but about...
Yeah, and
Colin wasn't there, was he?
I know, he wasn't. That could be why.
And your husband, but Colin too.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's what amazing. I think having that little person, sorry, he's not a person. But
I think they are.
He's my little dog to remind me that, he doesn't know what I've done or who I am. So it's all about, I guess it's how I make people feel. Yeah. So I think for me, it was just, I wanted to protect myself so much that I was thinking it was all about me. And I'm like, it's actually not about you, Lisa. It's about the team. It's about us. It's what we are trying to achieve.
And I'm sure that if you came home and then you just went on this glassy lake and you just performed and all that pressure's off, right, then there is no problem. You do everything. Everything's just like opens out. But it's that one moment where all those pressures come where you just lock down.
Absolutely. And I guess it was I think what I understand about, the Olympics is, and something so big and so important, that there's always a point where you kind of either lean into the pressure and you go, you like surrender and you go, you know what, I don't mind, I don't care. I'm going to do my absolute best and whatever the result is, but I still want to win, but I don't have to. When you can kind of get to that place of not, the expectations there, but you just listen to wanting to perform, wanting to do your best, to do it with the team, when I can, if you can lean into that rather than I have to win, I have to do this. Yeah. Those are completely two different perspectives.
And you do team as well as solo. How do you switch between that? Because I mean, it's interesting when you go like a team player and then you have someone who's obviously solo. So switching gears on that where you're working unison with each other and then
that is the challenge, I think, is that it's actually really hard to
switch from one from the other, right?
But even for team people to be team players, because that's hard too, because everyone wants to make sure that their value and input in the team is better or is the most, but I think for us, what really helped, and it's something, that over the time, and I'll catch myself out, I'll be thinking about Lisa and I need to be good, I need to this, I need that. But when our goal as a team, it was all about doing it for New Zealand, about doing it for our sport, for each other. And it was a we. So when the system, when we as a team could achieve together, when everyone was able to perform their best at the same time, that was the hard part. And so I think it's owning the whole, the whole performance, but also not.
Yeah.
Because so I think it's when we could as a team look after each other and go, if I'm doing great, you're doing great.
Yes,
if you're not doing great, I'm not doing great.
Yeah.
So it does help in a way to take it off yourself, but also when you want so much control of that performance and what I think is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
that's hard. But also when you're like, well, to function as a team, we need to understand everyone's position, their perspective. Everyone has a different perspective.
Right.
And if we don't listen and try to understand, we don't have to completely agree, but we can definitely understand where someone's coming from.
Yeah.
I will be able to work with that person because there's more in common. We have more in common than we do not.
Yeah.
But how we see, where someone, how they grew up, their upbringing will determine their perspective. And I can never have someone else's perspective. So for me, that's what I've learned being in a team is that to listen, to understand rather than tell.
Yes.
This is mine. That's yours. We're different.
Yeah. Can you tell me about Colin? I was really hoping you were going to bring him today.
I would have if I knew.
We would have just sat here with him on the table, but his little face.
Yeah.
So he's how old?
Colin is 4.5. So he was the product of lockdown. So in 2020,
were you allowed out, by the way, to practice?
Yeah.
I shouldn't ask you that.
Yeah, so
there's rules in place probably.
Yeah,
but were you allowed?
We couldn't go. I couldn't get on the water. They stopped us from getting on the water, so we weren't allowed to go boating or anything like that for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
When we did that lockdown, and I think it was March. And in the same time, when New Zealand went into that complete lockdown, tell on your neighbours if you're not wearing your mask or you're out in public. It was. The Olympics were postponed.
Yeah.
So having the Olympics postponed for another 18 months, it was a year, which in March was 18 months away versus 6.
Yeah. God, that's huge. Yeah.
So we kind of had to go, okay, what does it mean now? And I remember thinking, I am in such great form. How am I going to maintain this for another year? So I guess at that point it was a worry.
Oh God, and the pressure. You just must have been just going, oh my, yeah.
So, but it took me a few weeks to think, actually at that point, it's like, okay, what's the opportunity in this? Like, so if it's in one more year, what more can I learn? What more can I grow? But obviously in lockdown, I was going to be in New Zealand for a good 12 months before traveling again. Yeah. So why not get a dog?
and a Colin.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember, so in our world, we track our HRV, which is your heart rate variability. And that's in the morning, you take your heart rate and it measures your kind of recovery or your adaptation to training. So when Colin came on the scene, my heart rate just went through the roof because I was so worried about him at night. I wasn't recovering. I wasn't. So
wow.
My coach likes to joke it was the Colin effect. So there was this 3 weeks where I just was just so worried about him because he was crying at night, and
when he was a puppy.
So
you got the build up to the Olympics, and now you're like, I'll get a dog, and now your recovery is all kind of shot because of Colin.
Apparently, then I realized I'm like, it's really hard to look after someone else other than myself.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think although it was
did
like
he come
tricky,
into bed now?
He does, yeah. So now I just kind of
your coach is like, get him in your bed now. You're not listening to him.
Yeah, I had to put earplugs in.
Wow.
But yeah, I am so glad. I love him obviously, and just having something else to look after. I love training him. We do lots of tricks and things. So
their ability to just, it's unconditional love, and they just bring the biggest smile to your face, don't they?
Yeah, it is the love and it's the companionship. It's always having someone there, I think, that will just hang out with you, that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And also just being, getting out and going out for a walk or that type of thing was always good for me to get outside of my house.
Yeah. How's a public walking down the street? Are you like everybody's daughter?
Yeah. It's funny. Like I think over time, since winning a gold medal in 2012 at London Olympics, it was like a few people, but now it's like, especially after Paris, I think, it's in the media, people see it, everyone sees it. Yeah, it's, definitely get recognised. But in the same, I think New Zealanders are always, we don't,
I know, do you get the tall poppy syndrome? Lisa, wash the dishes now because you probably I don't know, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yes and no. A lot of people have been so amazing. They'll be like, you've done so much for us. I think you should have a break. And so I think what's so special about what I get to do is I get to achieve, I get to do these things for myself, but inherently it reaches so many people. So everyone feels like it's for them. So for me, it's really special to be able to impact people. And so it is hard being, the shy girl from Ohope, just, everyone, people talking to me in the street. And so I just decided, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm just going to let people talk to me about the Olympics, what they got to see, how proud they were. And since I've been able to do that, I'm like, oh, it's not that hard.
No. What kind of things do you do, as far as, I don't want to say, well, yeah, but spiritually, or I sometimes say energetically, because really it's like this energy that kind of is with us. You don't have to go into what your religion is or anything, but just those kind of connections.
Yeah, I find that there's lots of little things that I do, and from, moments of, whether it's meditation in the morning, or even I find things that help me that give me agency again. So I think when things force me to just chill out and calm, so we have an ice bath at home. So I think sometimes when my brain's a bit jumpy, I'm a bit emotional, or I'm scatterbrained, I'm worrying too much, or wondering what that person's thinking about me. I go, you know what, Lisa, you need to calm down. So just get in the ice bath. So getting in the ice bath for me, there's all these physical effects and things, but I get in and all I can think about is how cold it is.
So
and
it just
so
takes
I
it away.
And I just breathe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So there's just those little tools that I have that help me go, you've got your choice back, your agency of what you get to think about, what's going through my brain. And yeah, for me, it's so important to start the day slow. So get up, make a coffee.
Just keep it really simple.
Simple. I write in my journal, and then if the day's busy or I get really excited because I'm happy, I still like Lisa, just take it slow. Enjoy the day, enjoy the moment. Even if my day's really busy and I go, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get through today. I don't know if I'm going to have enough energy for my afternoon training or something like that. So it's okay. Just look forward to it.
Yeah.
Have fun. So I guess I use, I try to adjust my perspective to, I guess you talk about spirituality, but I think, it's breathing, it's using the environment, it's meditation, it's cold water, it's
I've always had been obsessed kind of with, I don't know, it's a New Zealand thing, but just intrigued by athletes for so many years, just seeing the percentage of that high physical drive and that high, I would consider energetic drive, spiritual, if you want to call it that, and seeing these two merge together is really something that only a very few percentage in the world get to do. I just have so much respect for you guys. It's like seeing unicorns. Do you know what I mean? I don't even mean to use Candyland unicorns, but it's just like seeing these rare people who have this ability to push themselves just mentally, physically, and spiritually, and to have that moment to be able to do that in this lifetime is pretty special. And I would say is a huge part of what is that human spirit to you.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's such a broad thing, and I think without even knowing that, whether we call it spirit or connection to the world bigger than us, I think for me, it is, I love that I get to explore kind of things and using my mind, my body, and the environment to keep pushing boundaries. And I guess I think I love the idea of spirit because I get to, it's not all about being comfortable for me. It's because I think that's where my natural state would be, is I'm always striving to find more comfort, to be better, to, you know, to do all these things so I'm safe.
Yeah.
But what I learned that I've loved more is that I get to explore all aspects of the human body, the spirit, the mind, and to be, you know, and just having that need to find calm, the need to also, when it's okay to feel frantic, it's okay to be excited, it's okay to be sad, because in those moments of emotional like extremes, I find is the learning to come back to normal. So using the connection with the world, with the water, with the air, with the sun, you know, knowing that I am just a small speck on this amazing planet, and I'm one person in this huge world.
Yeah.
Knowing my place and how big it is, it's like, okay, I'm not as important as I think I am. So there's more out there, and absolutely accepting that there's always some things that I can control in my body and mind. But there's also this element of that unknown that I cannot quantify.
People are going to probably ask why I didn't ask about your amazing husband, but I just really don't want to get into that. And and also talking about the future, I mean, you know, what is the point of that? Because you just don't know, right? Like, you're just flowing, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I guess for me, I'm really considered in what I do, what I tell people, how things go. So for me, it's like, man, I just, you know, it's bad. I just want to make sure that I do the right thing, and when I do it, it's 100%. So yeah,
even if you didn't do the right thing, it would still be amazing.
I know, but that's what I have to keep reminding myself, is that there's no perfect way to do it. So it's okay. Like, no matter what it is, there's no perfect way. So,
and even our big mess ups and our big things that we do wrong sometimes, man, that for me, that's where I've learned. Like, you know, I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing, especially to be in the public eye and have certain expectations too.
Yeah.
Where people now more than ever are most opinionated because you've got social media.
Yeah.
And that becomes very, very hard to navigate around.
Exactly. And
I just block them.
Yeah.
Can't be bothered. Sorry, you want to say something bad, go away. Like, I'm not dealing with you.
Well, that's it. Like, for me, like leading into the Olympics, I took Instagram off my phone. I wasn't scrolling. I didn't have media, because you know, you got to know yourself and know I was really vulnerable to being triggered to something negative, and I didn't want to see something online to just trigger me. So in a way, that's what was really nice about being away in Europe, is that, you know, you could just be cut off and just do the job, and, you know, because it's high pressure.
Is there anything you have always wanted someone to ask you and you've never been able to get to say?
I don't know. What I love about our conversation today is it's flowed. And I thought, I'm not going to ask a question or even get you to ask a question. But like, I think it's so special to meet someone that has been, like you have been in New Zealand history. And so growing up with Rachel Hunter, like, it's so amazing to be able to sit here next to you and do this. So, you know, I was talking to some of the girls this morning. I was like, I get to do a podcast today with Rachel Hunter. Like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, because it's like, when do I get to meet someone like you? You're not in my field of sport. And also, so I'm really grateful that we got to sit down and I get to understand you too. It's really nice.
It's amazing, the connection, because bottom line is like, I'm so grateful that we come from the country that we come from, and also seeing that you, like, I used to walk down when it happened for me whatever. I mean, like modeling.
Yeah.
It's like I would hide. I'd go to the back of Queen Street because people would ask questions and I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And eventually you do know how to deal with it. And I think there's just, when I saw you, I'm completely opposite to you, where I'm like really, really flighty. So it's really great because I think that's what I found really intimidating. I'm like going, oh God, she's really stable and really, but at the same time you just ooze of just humbleness and obviously beauty, and I love your top knot too. I love it. You know what? When I go to India, that's all my hair is just up in a top knot the whole time.
I think
just
it's the
love
most. It's the easiest,
so great.
and it's
Thank you so much. It's been amazing to be with you here today. I hope to see you again.
Yeah, me too. And it's been so lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
And you're a Kiwi icon, so it's amazing.
You're joking.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you know who Colin is. What a magnificent person Dame Lisa Carrington is. And just before the interview, we actually bumped into each other just up the road, and I was getting a coffee before I did the interview. And she just has this incredible stability about her, where she walks into a room and it's just feels stable. And to me, that it's not just about the sport, which is obviously how incredible, and I bow to her with that, but really the person that she is. And I think when you have been doing something that people see you having been successful in, but then they don't see you for you, and I think that's what she does beautifully, is you actually see her always when you meet her, and that's very unguarded and very, very stable. She's actually, it can be quite intimidating when you have someone that stable around, because they're just strong foundation. Join me again next week with Human Spirit.